Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lightside Music Reactions. Today we are checking out a new group. This is a group called the Redeemed Quartet, and it's a Southern Gospel group, quartet. And the song that we're reacting to today is a fairly new one. It was just released on March the 9th, and it's a song called Unspoken Request. Okay, now I looked up their official website here. I don't know anything about them. The video just came up on my recommendations. But apparently here, according to their website, theredeemedquartet.com, they're based in Indiana. They got their start in 2014. And it's these four friends that started the group at the ages of 16, 17, 18, and 19. So this kind of reminds me of my band, how we got our start. I was just the summer I graduated from high school, that fall, we started my band, and the others in the band were just, the bass player and the lead singer, the two of us that started the band, or the three of us started the band. They were a few years older than me. And then later on, the lead singer's younger brother, Scott, joined and became our drummer. And then we got a new lead singer named Travis, and he is a few years younger than me. So just out of high school, we started our group, and this group's the same way. It says internet recognition grew in 2015 after posting a simple live video of the classic "Just a Little Talk with Jesus." It's kind of cliche, but that is probably the Southern Gospel song. If you want to, sing Southern Gospel, that's got to be, like the old Alabama song. If you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band. Well, if you're going to sing Southern Gospel, you got to do a version of "Just a Little Talk with Jesus." And they did, and apparently, it took off. On the internet, people loved it, and so it says within a matter of months, they found a quickly growing audience of online listeners and avid fans. Presently, the group travels locally on a leisurely schedule and has ramped up on video and studio productions. And so that's kind of like our band too. We kind of did things leisurely. We didn't sign a national contract or anything like that. We just did our own bookings. And, whenever somebody would call up, we'd say, hey, we'll be there. And we ended up traveling, across 4 states doing that. But anyway, they've got, looks like 4 albums out so far. In 2017, they released My Best Friend. In 2018, Final Invitation. 2021, Timeless Classics. And 2023, Those Were the Days, which is a 12-track production complete with RQ. That would be their band name. Is it Redemption Quartet? Redeemed Quartet. Redeemed Quartet originals and custom renditions of country and Southern gospel numbers. Okay, so real quick about the band, it's got pictures here on their website of each one of them. Nate Duncan sings the tenor. Caleb Coble sings lead and baritone. Ben Duncan sings baritone and lead, so apparently those two kind of go back and forth with each other. Our band did the same thing. We took turns singing lead on different songs. And Josh Coble sings bass. So, judging by their pictures here, they're young. They look like they're like 12 or 13 years old, a couple of them. But, 17 years old and a couple years older. So this is a young group. And this is their new song that they just released called Unspoken Request. It says here on their YouTube video that this song was recorded, the video was filmed in the historic First Baptist Church of Muncie, Indiana. So I'm not familiar with that church, why it's historic. But it's track number 9 on their 2023 album, Those Were the Days. And so, fairly new song. And apparently they just released this year their music video for it. So we're going to go ahead and check it out here. This is Unspoken Request by the Redeemed Quartet. Fiddle.
Preacher got up and said, stand to your feet. We'll start with a prayer. If you have a need, let it be heard, saints, let it be known. We're all
Okay, now this does sound familiar. Obviously, I've never heard this song before, but I think I have heard this song, a different version of it before, performed by a different group. Didn't recognize the title right off the bat, but once they started singing, this does sound familiar to me. Of course, a lot of Southern gospel songs sound alike, and so you could kind of take that with a grain of salt. That it may be I may be thinking of just another song, but this does sound familiar.
That's when he saw her at the back of the church. Her silence and sadness cried out to her. The kind shepherd knew just what to say. I need to know before we pray.
Okay, here the first verse. They talk about they're having a prayer meeting in church, and the preacher says, "Hey, if you've got a prayer request, go ahead and stand up and share it, and let your prayer request be known. We're all family, and you're not alone." So that's what church is all about. You have needs through prayer time. That's what it's for. We ask for prayer requests, and if anybody has any concerns, you share them. And if you want to, I mean, some requests are unspoken. That's probably what this song's going to get to. Is a lot of times we don't want to share specifics, but just say, just pray for me, without going into detail. And we don't have to. I mean, if you want to share details, we can pray specifically for whatever you're needing. But if you want it to be kept private, maybe it's a personal matter, maybe it's something that involves somebody else other than you, and you want to protect their privacy. Because let's face it, gossip is a thing, and if you go sharing your prayer request, a lot of people might use that as an excuse to gossip about them. Oh, did you hear what happened to so and so, or what so and so is going through? Somebody says pray for my wife or pray for my husband, sort of thing. Might start up a rumor. People say, oh, their husband or wife's having an affair, sort of thing, and might not be any truth to it whatsoever. But that's how gossip gets started, and so that's a lesson for churches: is don't gossip. When you're praying for somebody, we're praying to God. We're not supposed to be praying to other people. We're not supposed to share with other people the problems of others. If you want to share your own issues, that's one thing, but it's not an excuse to gossip. But like I said, unspoken requests, that's probably this song's going to get into. God knows our hearts and He knows our needs before we even ask Him. Jesus said that in the book of Matthew. I think it's chapter 5 or 6. But He knows what we need, and so we don't need to come to Him and do all these big repetitious prayers, the fancy sort of thing that you might see a televangelist do on TV. You can just talk to God just like you're talking to anybody else in conversational tone, and He knows your heart. You don't even have to say it out loud, and you don't even have to ask Him for anything because He knows what we need. But He wants us to ask instead, because that opens up the doors to communication. I preached on this at our church many different times, and one of the points that I've made is that God knows our needs, and He knows what we want before we even ask for it. But the reason why He wants us to ask for our prayer concerns isn't because we're trying to get His attention and trying to tell Him something that He doesn't already know, but for the simple fact that it opens up the lines of communication between us and Him. Not only us speaking to Him, but after you pray, you're supposed to stop and listen for His answer. And that's something that we all seem to forget a lot of times, is we're quick to go to God asking for things, but we never stop and listen for His answer. I'm not saying that necessarily He's going to speak in an audible voice to where we're going to hear Him answer out loud, but a lot of times He'll speak to your spirit, and He'll answer your prayers. And I've often said also, there's no such thing as an unanswered prayer. Unanswered prayers are prayers that He's answered, but you just haven't listened or heard what the answer is. The answer is not always yes. Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is wait and see. And sometimes the answer is, I've got something planned down the road, but I'm not ready to reveal it to you yet. And so, yeah, there's no such thing as an unanswered prayer. And, when we do pray, we need to stop and listen to what his answer is and not take for granted that what we ask for is what we're going to get. Because a lot of times, you ever seen the movie Bruce Almighty? Great movie that that explains a lot about how God views prayer. Where Bruce, played by Jim Carrey, goes to God and he's praying, God, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Let me have this, let me have that. And so finally God just says, hey, listen, you can go ahead and be God for a day. He gives him the powers. And of course this isn't real life, it's a story to prove a point, kind of a modern parable sort of thing. But, in his attempt to be God and to take God's job of answering prayers and start to answer his own prayers in the way that he was asking God to answer them, he realizes that the answers that he was wanting was not the answers that he needed. And by answering them in the way that he wanted and rather than the way that God wanted, ended up getting him into trouble because they weren't good for him big picture wise. And so when we pray to God, it's important for us to realize that God knows better than us. His ways are higher than our ways. In God's most foolish moment, he is much wiser than in our wisest moment. And so we could never hold a candle to God's wisdom. And so when he tells us no, you can bet it's for a good reason. And we need to trust that. Let's get back to this song. He's saying, if you've got a prayer request, stand up and let us hear.
An unspoken request. Does anybody have one here tonight? Did you come with a burden you can share? A need in your life. Just lift up your hand to the one.
Ooh, nice chord.
Who can give you rest. Child, have no fear. Our God can hear an unspoken request.
And that's basically it right there. Our God can hear an unspoken request. So even if you don't share it out loud for other people to hear, Jesus said when you pray, don't stand up on a stage and do all this fancy stuff like the Pharisees did, like these fancy televangelists do. Just go to the privacy of your own bedroom, what the Bible calls your prayer closet. Go to your private, secret place where it's just you and God, and have that conversation one-on-one with him. And he'll hear you just the same as if you were standing right next to him. And just like you listen to this video right now, you can hear the sound of my voice. God hears your voice just as clearly, or even more clearly, when you pray to him. And so if you have any unspoken requests, don't be afraid to share it with God. Even if you do not speak it out loud, he hears the cries of your heart. Don't be afraid to tell him, even if it's not spoken out loud. Tell him what you need, and he will answer it in the way that is right for you in the big picture. The quartet sounds great. Their vocals are tight. Their harmonies are really crisp. I'm really enjoying the sound of their voices. The bass is really clear. It's standing out to me. I like that one chord it went to. Like if it was in the key of G, it would go up to a B minor, which is unusual, but it fits beautifully into that that structure of the chorus there. And so I like that it's not just a simple 3-chord song, but Southern Gospel is very good this way, of introducing some really beautiful chord progressions, and then the very best gospel songs, Southern Gospel songs, have a key change toward the end as well, to where it goes up, maybe a key, and then that way the high tenor voices can show off their vocal skills a little bit, and maybe end up on a high note. This song in particular, I'm not sure if it's going to lend itself to that type of big finale ending. This sounds like it's going to be more of it's kind of laid back and soft, and so it's not one of these roof-raising type anthems to where you're going to have that big finale ending, I don't think. But beautiful chord. Song is very well written and very well performed.
Well, the preacher whispered as she raised her hand, "Sweet Holy Spirit, come by her and stand." As the tears started flowing, he had no doubt that in the throne room of heaven, her secret was out.
Oh, her secret was out in the throne room of heaven. That kind of goes along with what I was just saying about in my lead into the first verse. Just the idea of unspoken requests is the reason why your requests sometimes remain unspoken is because you don't want people to know it and gossip about what might be or might not be the issue in your life that you're asking for prayer for. And so for fear of being ridiculed or being criticized or just being talked about, that's enough to stress somebody out right there. It's just knowing somebody's talking about you behind your back sort of thing. And so Christians, please don't be gossiping about each other. When somebody shares a prayer request, especially one that's of a personal nature, just pray for them and don't be sharing it with all your neighbors and stuff. That doesn't do anybody any good, and it invariably does harm. But apparently, they're indicating here that there may have been an issue like that to where her request was unspoken. She didn't want to share it out loud, and she had a secret that she wanted to keep. But in the throne room of heaven, her secret was out. Because in heaven, God hears your prayer even if you don't speak them. He knows what you want even if you don't say it out loud. And when you pray to him in private, then he knows your secret. And he knows that whether you ask for it or not, so you might as well just go ahead and ask for what you want. And the thing about that is, when God hears your secret, he doesn't go blabbing it to the neighbors. He doesn't go broadcasting it to the world. He communicates with you directly, speaks to your spirit, gives you comfort and peace, and answers your prayer. Even if it's not in the way that you expect or the way that you maybe want, it will always be in your best interest long term. Okay, let's get back into this. I really like how they use that. In the throne room of heaven, her secret was out.
An unspoken request.
Hear that deep bass? Nice bass.
Does anybody have one here tonight? Did you come with a burden you can share? A need in your life.
Okay, here comes that chord.
Just lift up your hand to
Here it is. Right there, beautiful.
who can give you rest. Child, have no fear. Our God can hear an unspoken request. Child, have no fear. Our God can hear an unspoken request.
Okay, beautiful song, done very well. And just like I predicted, it wasn't a real fancy ending. It was just real simple, straightforward. They didn't do any big fancy vocal runs, but it's a beautiful melody, beautiful chord progression, and they performed it in a brilliant way. Their voices sound amazing. I'm very impressed with them. This is a new group I've never heard of before, so the link to their channel is to this song is in the description below. So after you're done watching this video, why don't you head over to their channel and give them some support. This is a new young group, and I always love to see new groups coming out like this, especially Christian-oriented groups, whether it be Southern Gospel or Christian Contemporary or rock or whatever the case may be. Young people that are going out and doing the Great Commission that God has given us, that Jesus gave us before he went back to heaven, to go out into the world sharing his gospel, his good news, his love with the world. And to do it with music is just something that really touches my heart as somebody who was in a Christian band from a young age as well. And so it's really something that I'm really inspired by, to see young people doing this. So I want to encourage them and support them in any way I can. So definitely hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below of some other recommendations you might have. And then once again, when you're done, head over and support them on their channel as well. Thank you guys for all your recommendations. And if you do give me a recommendation and I react to a song or a video that you recommend, then I will give you a shout out on this channel. And please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll know when we add new content. And this isn't the only thing we have on here. We do have our music reactions, but we also have reactions on here to TV and movie trailers that are coming out. We have our Muck Club video every weekend, just about every weekend, where we review food live on the air most of the time, and sometimes it's pre-recorded if the circumstances don't allow. And just some other stuff on the channel as well. So check it all out. Maybe there's something else on there that you enjoy as well. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on the Light Side Music Reactions.